From KGW, this is The Good Stuff.
It just came right up to my feet and tucked itself around my feet and was just checking me out. And it did kind of a little back and forth dance for a little while. And it was just so magical. I was speechless.
Tonight on The Good Stuff, something you don't get to experience every day along the Oregon coast. A woman at Cannon Beach got up close with a giant octopus. Thanks for joining us. I'm Deidre Johnson. It started with a trip to the tide pools, and that's when things got interesting. Our John Adams went to the coast to find out what happened.
At about 8 a.m. on Thursday morning, Angela Whitlock had a magical encounter in a tide pool right behind me, an encounter she'd been dreaming about for years. Whitlock, a marine program coordinator with an environmental nonprofit, was walking through the tide pools by Haystack Rock at Cannon Beach when this happened.
And I was coming around in one direction and the octopus was coming towards me under the water. And I gasped, and I think the octopus did too, because it turned white, like a speckled white all of a sudden. I think we both gasped at each other.
Whitlock frantically reached for her phone and hit record.
I finally got my camera working, and at that point, that's when the octopus came out, and it had turned its maroon color again, and it just came right up to my feet and tucked itself around my feet and was just checking me out. And it did kind of a little back and forth dance for a little while, and it was just so magical. I was speechless.
It was an interaction that would send many people running in the opposite direction. But the seaside resident was able to stay calm even after the octopus latched on to her foot.
When it came at me, I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening here? But I just stood really still because I just wanted to soak up every single second of it, because that's never happened before, and I don't know if it will again in the tide pools.
A dream encounter at one of Oregon's most iconic locations.
I dreamed about it. It was something that I thought, that would be a bucket list thing to happen, and it happened yesterday morning. I couldn't believe it. I was flying high all day.
Amazing it got so close to her. Well, our next story takes us to an animal sanctuary in Columbia County that's more than a safe place for animals. John Goodwin shows us why No More Bad Days is more than a motto at On Golden Rescue.
Just being here is a gift in itself.
The first thing you notice at On Golden Rescue is the peacefulness of the pasture.
We're a sanctuary.
Larry Boxman and his wife Gail founded OGR a couple years ago in Columbia County. The nonprofit is a large animal rescue internationally accredited by the Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries. 24-legged residents call this place home.
Are you talking? Huh? You want another treat?
Larry stands with Jericho. Jericho's about 22 years old. He came to OGR from California.
He was trained to find lost backpackers and campers in the woods, and he was very successful.
An on-the-job injury forced Jericho into retirement. He was then put up for auction and probably would have been sent to a kill pen.
And somebody recognized him and said, from the newspapers, of him being a hero and finding these lost campers, and said, you can't kill this horse. And so he took him home with him.
Now, this is home. But it was a journey to get here.
He would not go into the trailer. The neighbors who brought him from California were there, and they kept saying, it's okay, Jericho, no more bad days. Hi, guys.
That saying resonated with Larry, who wears his heart on his sleeve, and those words over his heart.
And so we adopted that as our motto, and that's our goal. We want these animals that have come from tough situations, and we want to make sure they don't have any more days for whatever's left of their days.
You are on camera now. Here you go.
Barbara Liebel is the animal care coordinator. Her decades of animal rescue and rehab experience tells you right where her heart is.
I do not have bad days. I have exciting days. I have adventures, and sometimes we are here for a long time if it's necessary, but no, there are no bad days here.
Some of these animals have stories of abuse and neglect. Others may just be living out their golden years, like Jericho after his years of service. Each is closely cared for through specialized diets and medical plans, and with all the love, to ensure no more bad days.
When you watch the life come back in their eyes, when they get the horse spirit back, there's no better feeling. That stays with you forever, and I just feel better about life. No matter how bad of a day you're having, you feel better about life.
In Columbia County, John Goodwin, KGW News.
Love that story. Well, it's great to see someone helping these animals that have already been through so much. And what's even better, today is National Adopt a Shelter Pet Day. You know, many of you have adopted pets that needed a forever home. So we asked you to submit pictures of your shelter pet on Facebook. And they're not only cute, but they have amazing names. We'll start with Pepita. Vanessa adopted her pet from Milo's Mets, or Milo's Mets. She says Pepita loves to take trips out to the coast, and judging from that face, she really does. Jolene shared a picture of her cat, Bento. I love that name, Bento, who was adopted from the cat adoption team. Bento certainly looks very polite, sitting there for this picture. And Martha shared this picture of Lenny out in a field on a beautiful day. She says they rescued Lenny after he spent the first 7 months of his life in a shelter. Looks like he prefers his new home much better. Next is Kiki. Lisa says this handsome fellow was adopted from Multnomah County Animal Services. He does look like just a sweet boy. And finally, we have a 2-for-1, a couple of best friends named Toby and Mittens. Dina says they were adopted from Paws in Lynnwood, Washington, and they go everywhere together. What an adorable duo. Well, you can share your photos and stories of the good stuff happening in your community by texting 503-226-5088 or email us at thegoodstuff@kgw.com. Well, check out these cute little ones. Hillsborough Fire and Rescue saved these 11 ducklings from a storm drain after they got trapped last week. Here's a happy note. None of these little babies, of course, were injured, and they're now back with their mom. And they weren't the only ones who needed to be rescued from a sticky situation. Take a look at this rescue in Washington County. Rescue crews were called to reports of a bobcat stuck in a fence near Gaston. What they actually found was a large domestic cat tangled in a fence on someone's property. Crews were able to cut it free from the fence, and it scampered away. Ahead on the good stuff, hundreds of volunteers come together to repair homes around Portland. More on their mission when we come back. But first, we take you to a live look at the Portland skyline from our Wells Fargo Skycam. We'll be right back. Over the weekend, hundreds of volunteers across Portland helped out low-income families with repairs to their homes. 22 houses across the city were transformed thanks to the nonprofit Rebuilding Together. The homeowners say the repairs will not only make them feel safe, but will also be life-changing for their health. Sydney Dorner has the story.
I needed everything.
Joseph Kearney has lived in his Northeast Portland home for 16 years.
My landlord died a couple of 2 years ago, and he put me in his will, and I was able to buy the house with an option that he gave me.
Admitting the place needs some work.
And a porch that was over 100 years old that needed to be rebuilt, and insulation underneath the house, and eventually we'll get a new roof on it.
The volunteers helping Kearney are from Rebuilding Together, a nonprofit providing safe and healthy housing for low-income homeowners that need immediate repairs to their homes.
Now my gas bill is going to go down because I'm insulated now, and it should help me out because my grocery bill is through the ceiling.
Throughout April, Rebuilding Together and the contractors they partner with are focusing on veterans, older adults, and people living with disabilities. They say fixed-income families are often forced to prioritize food and health care over attending to the crumbling foundation of an older home. Judy Erickson says she has 20 years of clutter in her Southwest Portland house from 3 generations of hoarders.
I took everybody's stuff that they were getting rid of and kept it for myself. And now I can unload, and that's good.
Stair improvements, painting, gutter repairs, and waste removal are all a part of what Rebuilding Together provides, hoping people with less resources can have a home that keeps them protected and healthy.
The more you get rid of this stuff, the better off you all, the safer you all. It's better for everybody.
Rebuilding Together says they're always looking for volunteers. If you're interested or need repairs to your home, go to rebuildingtogether.org. After the break, a cool tournament putting the best pinball skills on display, plus a special honor for the arcade hosting it. Students at Tamarack Elementary in Hillsboro had an out-of-this-world opportunity. They planted a tree on campus grown from seeds that orbited the moon aboard NASA's Artemis 1 mission. More than 1,000 seeds traveled thousands of miles from Earth. The goal was to establish a sustainable presence on the moon and prepare for future missions to Mars. The teachers hope the tree will continue to grow and inspire the next generation of explorers and scientists. Well, we're about 3 weeks away from the 2024 Rose Festival. We got a taste of parade season this weekend with the 18th annual 82nd Avenue of Roses Parade. It's an annual parade all about celebrating the diversity of Portland and the people who live here. It started back in 2007 with businesses and neighbors wanting to hold a fun and welcoming parade. Now it features marching bands, community groups, and more.
It's pretty fun. There's a bunch of music that I like.
It's a big childhood thing, you know. We used to do this a lot when we were a child, and just bringing it to our generation, you know, our youngins, and showing them like the fun we used to have, you know what I'm saying, and really just showing them that there's good in the world.
It's so fun.
The nonprofit says 82nd Avenue is surrounded by the highest percentage of Asian, Black, and Indigenous communities in Portland. A local arcade was partially closed this weekend to hold a special tournament. It was the 13th annual Portland Pinball Tournament at Ground Control. More than 100 of the city's top players gathered Saturday for qualifying matches. The 32 best players went on to the finals. The winner took home a cash prize of $1,000. And what's really cool, even the finalists got some cold, hard cash.
I was out pretty early, but I won $50 and got to play with some really great players.
There's a really crazy pinball tournament structure. It's like a double elimination bracket, so every game matters quite a bit.
Looks so fun. Well, on top of the turnout, Ground Control also has another reason to celebrate. This week, Yelp named it the best arcade bar in the country. A conference bringing thousands to Portland also includes a unique competition. The American Public Transportation Association chose the Rose City to host its 2024 Mobility Conference, plus the International Bus Road EO. The nation's best bus drivers even have to drive through an obstacle course. It's considered the Olympics for bus driving.
You know, bus drivers have a really hard job, but they make it look easy, navigating through tight streets and making tight turns and through traffic and parked cars, etc.
Wow, look at them go. Well, about 2,000 people are expected to visit Portland for the conference. It's one of the largest conferences in the area since the pandemic. When we come back, take a trip along a scenic highway for another edition of Grant's Getaways. It's not the fastest way to the coast, but the views are worth the extra time. But first, let's take a look at a few more of your furry friends. Welcome back. State Highway 202 may not be the fastest way to Astoria, but that's okay since you'll discover some scenic surprises along the way. Grant McComey explores a road less traveled that begins off Portland's doorstep.
State Highway 202 is not the fastest roadway between Portland and the Pacific, but it is the perfect backdoor byway for peace and solitude. The asphalt unwinds through small burgs called Mist, Birkenfeld, and Jewel, places that hold on to history for 50 paved miles to Astoria. A good place to discover Oregon.
That's beautiful. The texture of it, just layers upon layers of growth there.
Wow, that's pretty.
It's beautiful.
Can't believe we've never been here. And the sun's finally coming out.
I know.
It's gorgeous.
Elijah and Gabby Hanley agree. Heart-stopping moments aren't easy to come by on this back road, where little trails lead to big discoveries, like Lee Wooden Park just off Highway 202.
Well, this is perfect weather for waterfall shooting.
We're getting a little bit of everything today. Sun, snow, rain.
The husband-wife team travel the world and capture sights that most of us only dream about.
This time of year, the moss is starting to green up, and so everything's just lush, and the dampness from the rain also just accentuates and saturates all the colors as well. So it's really ideal for waterfall landscape photography like this.
Today, Elijah eyeballs Fishhawk Falls. It does so in a 75-foot foamy moment.
I'm gonna give it a go.
Okay.
He decides on a quick scoot for a closer look.
A really nice, tight composition. The way the water's breaking apart in the upper falls is nice, and then the stream leads out of the lower left-hand corner here to kind of guide your eye into the frame.
Elijah's eyes have guided his career for more than 20 years.
This is a skunk cabbage. And I understand why it's named that way. It definitely has an interesting smell, but they're very pretty.
Ever since he won a National Geographic photo contest that landed him at Machu Picchu in Peru. Gabrielle is always by his side. Together they capture beautiful images where the light pierces the scene and creates magic that feels just right. Soon another Highway 202 pull-off feels right at home at the Jewel Wildlife Area.
Our elk are here basically on the wildlife area all year round. If it turned warm and sunny in the afternoon, these elk would probably move to the edge of the field or back up into the trees. Mornings and evenings are a better time when it's warm and sunny from about mid-April through the late summertime.
And the elk at a couple of the viewing areas will come right up next to you. It's incredible to be that close and personal with these big animals.
Elijah is a big believer in a simple approach to wildlife, so he tries to isolate each subject.
We love shooting in the fog or the snow to create these crisp white backdrops so you can really focus on the animal. You can see all the texture in the fur, their antlers, and really isolate the animal against a simple backdrop.
Gabby and Elijah agree that it's important to dive deep wherever you travel. It's the journey that supports the destination.
Not go to necessarily the biggest spots that everyone goes
the
to,
touristy
the touristy spots, but really look around the area and see what else you can find that's unique and special and a little more off the beaten path.
So hurry here soon and then slow down on a backroad byway that's one of the best around. Along State Highway 202 with photographer Jeff Kastner, Grant McComey, KGW.
Love those views. Well, Grant has all the details and directions on the Grant's Getaways page on kgw.com. And be sure to watch our half-hour program of Grant's Getaways. The show airs Saturdays and Sundays on KGW. Well, that's all the time we have. Thanks for taking a little time for the good stuff. We leave you with more pictures of your adorable adopted pets. Have a wonderful evening.